before we go into the numbers, I think let's talk a little bit about the new launch sales performance so far. So we've put together a chart here that essentially tracks the sales performance of new launches based on PropNex appointed projects. So if you look at the period from April to September, and this is starting from 6th of April being the week that the circuit breaker started. So circuit breaker was on the 7th of April. So we're tracking the monthly sales, and obviously you look at April, sales were really, really low, but it started going up when people were more comfortable adopting technology to do transactions. And then in July and August, we see that pent-up demand from the April, May, June still coming into the market, and the September numbers, and that tracks only the first 2 weeks of September. We're looking at still fairly okay numbers, 160 from PropNex. So if you take from April to September, the blue bars representing PropNex sales, we've done just over, well, about 51% of the 4,000 plus units in terms of sales. I just want to bring in maybe Ismail and Kelvin here. We talked a little bit about this just now, about that fear of missing out, about the, sales being, at odds with the negative outlook and, the recession. So on the ground, do you still sense that it's really this rush? People are just worried that they'll miss out on a good deal, or they're worried that prices may go up and that they're just all going in to buy? What's your sense? Maybe Ismail, starting with you first.
Thank you so much, Suing. To start with, first and foremost, I want to thank all the customers who contributed towards the blue bar that is really came out tops with more than 51%, 2,077 units being transacted out of the 4,078 is huge number when we know that PropNex sales force only represent 28.5% of the all real estate salesperson in Singapore. So that's commendable. So I don't want to just stroke myself by saying that we did very well, but the question, Suing, you exactly asked here is this. Do we have a sense of understanding of the market? The fact that 51 transactions passed through our hands means we have a fairly good feel who are these buyers and what is it that is driving them towards the current market for people are picking up. I look at it, Suing, you rightfully said, this is not buying a can of drink and you don't like the taste because either you don't have enough gas or it's too carbonated and you can't take it and you just leave it on the table and walk away. You can't, because we are talking about private property that goes into millions of dollars, even if it is not $1 million, close to $1 million with hefty stamp duties and as well as holding period. I would say most of the people are actually hugely taking advantage of the current situation, which maybe I will not elaborate when the subsequent questions come about. Maybe we can talk about it in a greater depth using some of the slides. I'll pass on to Kelvin if you got anything to add on this.
I think that, of course, generally, of course, we can see that the market actually picks up. Of course, in September, the numbers are still not clear yet, but definitely, I think we still have some time, about 2 more weeks. I think it will be more or less should be the same as the July and August. I think later on, we will touch on some of the things because I think, Suing, you have some more very good information that you can actually touch on so that we can elaborate further from there.
Sure. So moving on from this, let's just jump quickly into the new home sales. I think everyone would have, or most people would have seen this in yesterday's papers, covering the 1,256 units sold in the month of August. So let's just look at the transaction volume again. So just a quick recap. So if you recall, July was 1,080. So August, we saw a 16% increase to 1,256. And if you see the breakdown in terms of the regions, the rest of Central, which is the city fringe, that's really driving sales in August, essentially because we have a couple of new launches and we'll talk about them later. OCR, no new launches at all, still commendable, 506 units sold. So if you look at the 1,256 units sold, that's actually the 4th straight month of increase in sales. So if you look at last year there were just over 1,100. So it's still up by nearly 12%. And looking at the next slide, This is, again, segmental breakdown, but you have a clearer view about July. So the segment that saw a slight decline, it's OCR. Both RCR and CCR actually went up. So you see the blue bar, CCR went up by about 13%. RCR helped and boosted by those new launches, such as Forward at Bukit Timah, went up by 48%. Maybe at this juncture, I would like to maybe get Kelvin and Ismail to come in again. Let's talk about OCR first, Ismail. No new launches, but yet we still saw sales above 500. So looking at OCR, typically they are more resilient, right? Even during crisis, because they are supported by this large pool of owner-occupier and, HDB upgraders.
Yeah, you're truly right. And the fact that actually I don't see it as a huge decline on the part of the OCR properties, because from 548 dropped to 506 and it is a minus 7.7. As rightfully we pointed out, in the month of August, there wasn't any new launches. Therefore, isn't it, very interesting to note, despite there weren't any new launch, yet 500 units transacted, only shows that people are coming out with greater confidence to pick up developments that were launched 1 year ago or some even 2 years ago. So the market is, I must say, is relatively, in fact, very strongly doing well, even for the properties at OCR. Obviously, as far as the RCR, I think a lot of us know is because of some new launches that took place. Maybe I will let Kelvin highlight on the other two areas.
I think the main thing here is that I think for OCR, of course, the affordability is definitely one of the key issue in today's market, and that's the reason why. Also, on top of that, we also must understand that this year there's also about 30,000 of HDB upgraders as well, including EC as well. So these are the MOP periods, right? That's the reason why there is a demand for all these people to start upgrading, because all these are the younger generations of the people out there who really want to be inspired to actually own a private property. So, and that's the reason why we can see that the numbers are moving. And this group of people, honestly, they are all more educated. So they also look at numbers. They also look at the figures. And that's the reason why actually we saw the numbers actually pick up. Of course, the first few weeks of the circuit breaker, people are expected the numbers will drop, the prices will drop. But the true fact here is that after listening to different talks and looking at the real numbers, because Singapore, one thing good is what, everything is transparent. You cannot hide anything at all. That's the reason why all these people tend to make decisions better, because of the transparency in Singapore. And that is also the reason why you can also see, on the other hand, because of this situation, right, the foreigners companies are setting up into Singapore as well. So that is also another good news, right? So it gives the market a little bit more confident as well, in a sense of purchasing. So that's why we can see that even looking at CCR, the numbers of so-called units has also gone up. Despite the market situation, people are still buying. Why is it so? Of course, there's only one thought in mind, because they see opportunity. That's why all the numbers are very interesting to find out. Of course, for RCR, it happens to have a new launch coming in at that point of time for it, and that's the reason why the numbers actually shoot up because of that as well, right?
Thanks,
Yeah.
Kelvin. Thanks, Ismail. Actually, just to add, it's not here, but for CCR, actually, some of the projects that are driving sales, they include 4th Avenue Residences, Pullman Residences Newton, Copper at Newton, The Avenue, and Leiden Green. So those 5 projects are actually responsible for quite a substantial portion of that 128 there.
Yep.
So all segments actually still moving well. OCR, no launches, so actually still fairly decent.